Well, God bless you. This evening I want to look at the question, is God in charge? I saw a sign outside of a church recently that was certainly designed to be encouraging, but I thought that it was potentially damaging. Here's what the sign said: "Don't worry, God is in charge." Now, why would I find that damaging? On the surface, it seems wonderfully biblical. But if you scratch below the surface, statements like this will ultimately lead to blaming God for evil that he had no part in whatsoever. You know, there are two extremes that we want to avoid in Christianity. And the first is that God helps those who help themselves. And the second is God controls everything. The first statement, that God helps those who help themselves, portrays God as a creator who has left us to our own devices. And the idea, on the other hand, that God controls everything leaves us helpless in the face of a God who has mapped out everything that is ever to happen in life. Not surprisingly, God has something different to say. Far from God only helping those who help themselves, God actually offers to help those who ask for help. That's what prayer is all about. You don't have to prove yourself worthy of God's help in order to receive it. Nor are you stuck with only your own abilities when you face issues in life. The reason is that we are fellow workers with God. That's what it says in 1 Corinthians 3:9. We are fellow workers with God. Now, certainly God gives us things to do and responsibilities as we walk with him, but God is also working by our sides. He is not simply the boss overseeing things. He is working with us. So remember, you are only left to your own devices if you choose to be left to your own devices. But God is always there to help and instruct any who might ask them. But you know, even more damaging than the idea that God helps those who help themselves is the idea that God is in charge of everything. Now, some may think it's either blasphemy or insanity to say that God isn't in charge of everything. But you should be thankful that God doesn't design and control your every action. Jesus certainly recognized this when he taught his disciples how to pray. He said that they should pray, ask God, that his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. If God was already controlling everything to conform to his will, why would Jesus have us pray that way? Now, when I say, or when Jesus said, or the scriptures declare that God doesn't control everything, that does not mean that God is not sovereign. Acts 4:24 says, when they, the disciples, heard this, they lifted their voices together to God and said, "Sovereign Lord, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and everything in them." God is sovereign. This means that as the Creator, he has both the power and the ownership over all of creation. There is nothing beyond his ability to control within his creation. Now, in the physical world, God has designed the laws of physics in such a way that they need no further intervention to keep going as he designed. But when it comes to the realm of human existence, God has given us free will, which is something he always respects. God has shared his power and authority with us. By rights, as the Creator, all power and authority belong to him. He has empowered his Son, Jesus Christ, with all authority in heaven and on earth, and God has committed to us all a responsibility toward his creation and toward each other. In Psalm 115:16 it says, "The heavens are the Lord's heavens, but the earth he has given to the children of man." Now, when God gives us something, he does not take it back, even when we might misuse it. There will be a time when God will judge people on what they have done with their stewardship of the earth, but God does not currently control those types of decisions. There is evil in this world, But rather than look at the evil as part of God's plan, we need to recognize that the evil that we see or even experience is foreign to God's design. And if we miss this point, we will take well-intentioned statements like, "Don't worry, God is in charge," and we will set ourselves up to eventually start blaming God for the evil that we experience. Evil does not exist because God willed it, nor does God simply sit back as evil happens. Evil occurs because both the devil who rebelled against God and the people that the devil influences on the earth choose evil. The good news is that Jesus Christ came to destroy the works of the devil. It says that in 1 John. Since Jesus knew that there was evil in the world, he also covered this in the prayer that he taught his disciples. He closes that prayer with a prayer to God, "Deliver us from evil." Far from being in charge of everything that happens, God is the one who can deliver us from evil if we will choose to co-labor with him in prayer. God bless you.